Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we are just a couple days removed from the latest balance patch that saw like Sonya, Zilliax, Shaman get nerfed, as well as like the Demon Seed in Wild, and I wanted to give you guys updated decks to climb with, whether it's Standard or Wild, or trying to hit like Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, or Legend. We got a bunch of decks that also feature Bob, I think in both Standard and Wild, so you can get your Bob value in there. And as always, if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I have earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, as we're on the road to 90,000 subscribers. It'd be an amazing Christmas gift if we could hit 90K by the end of the year. We're like 900 away, so if you feel like I've earned it, please hit that. So yeah, starting off with Standard, Paladin doing really well in Standard and Wild, and we'll start off with two separate Standard decks. First being Lynessa Paladin, did really well at Worlds, and it's pretty darn good on ladder. And basically, you curve out with your early game. You got like Gorgon Zormu, Mixologist, which, you know, you can get those spells double up with. You probably don't want to waste them on Lynessa, but you can. But yeah, it's basically an OTK deck, right? Lynessa can allow you to murder your opponent with glow sticks, with Divine Bruise, possibly High Rolling Grifta, getting damage off of that. And it's got a bit of a control shell with like Prismatic Beam, Amethyst, Living Horizons can come down really early, and Horde of the Windlord, not only to push damage, but yeah, help you, murder your opponent. And it is one of the best decks on ladder right now. And yes, you're going to see a lot of Ethereal Oracle throughout this video. I'm already like, couldn't they have nerfed it a little bit? So yes, you're going to see a lot of that card. But a card or a deck that doesn't run that, Handbuff Paladin. I also don't think it runs like any new cards at all, but it's still just really good Paladin deck. I have to recommend it. All about that weapon there. Painter's Virtue, buffing the crap out of your hand. You can murder people with Southsea Deckhand, Leroy, as well as, you know, you double up on your damage with Outfit Tailor. Got late game in here like Amethyst. You can make a really thick Zilliax with Power Module and Twin Module, double dipping on those hand buffs. And yeah, this deck's been the same for quite a long time and is still really darn good. It seems to always dodge nerfs because it's never that good that people, you know, it gets nerfed, and it's never that bad that people don't get slightly annoyed by it. But I think it's a fine deck. It's like whatever. Discover Hunter. I'm not going to highlight the really greedy tech versions that we saw at Worlds. More of the tempo version that statistically on ladder does a lot better. Well, you'll note I'm not even recommending a Warlock deck in this video, even though it won Worlds. The Armor Warlock won Worlds. If you're looking like consistently on ladder, it does really bad. It's like 42%. So remember, if you were watching Worlds last weekend, there's a reason there's tournament decks and ladder decks. And yeah, the best ladder version, at least that I've seen so far, for Discover Hunter is more the tempo variant with like Mantle Shaper. Of course, you want to cheat out alien counters. It's insane. And basically, with this deck, just try and find Exarch Nile. This card is absolutely broken, for the, you know, a lack of a better word. Getting that tracking, that 1 mana hero power to discover cards from your deck works incredibly well. With Rangari Scout, you can double, triple dip on things at times. Zilliax still seems to be worth the cut. Pylon Module, Ticking Module, just getting that buff on the board seems to be worth still. People are playing it, and since the latest patch, this is one of the best performing lists I could find. So yeah, give it a go. It's got quite a few new cards. And yeah, if you want to get a little bit more crazy and greedier, Starship Hunter, not as good, but it's up there, right? Like, it's a competitive deck, and you really focus on, I think you only have 2 Starship pieces. You have Biopod, which is the one you want to get the most of. So you have the Death Rattle go off and push incredible damage. And then, of course, Arcanite Defense Crystal, which gives you a bunch of armor, helps keep you alive. And you can OTK eventually with like Yodeler, Ceaseless to like clear the board, launch that Starship Yodeler, got Ravenous Kraken to get more value. And yeah, one of the better performing decks out there, despite, you know, not being as good as the regular Discover Hunter. It uses a very similar shell and does pretty darn good stuff. The best Shaman deck so far does appear to be Asteroid Shaman. Swarm Shaman's fallen off. It got hit really hard in the last balance patch. And yeah, Asteroids are doing well. I might try and get another video on it because it is one of the newer archetypes and see if it's like fake news or not. But yeah, it hasn't changed a ton. This version not really running any of the, it's not running like Bob or anything, but you got Incendious, Shutter Block, you know, you can do the Incendious Shutter Block thing. You can also just hit up like Bull-Eyed Behemoth or just a Breaker, Mauler, whatever. Get a bunch of asteroids in the deck, draw them with, again, we have Ethereal Oracle doing incredible damage, right? You draw and they do extra damage. It's just, it's really hard to out heal this deck. If you face slower decks, I've been playing some Rainbow DK again. It's tough, man. It's tough. And this deck only, yeah, it struggles a bit more to the early game out there. And you'll note like the Sigil, we're not even running like Cookie or anything like that. It's purely Shaman cards now. And it does seem to be doing pretty darn well. And speaking of Rainbow DK, it is valid, viable. I'm going to try and get a video out later today if I can, on Rainbow DK, because yes, Bob the Bartender does really well in this deck, giving you that board freeze, stealing a minion. Those are the two general ones you want to take. I have yet to take Refresh or 3-drop or draw from your deck, although that one could be okay for sure. But overall, yeah, Rainbow DK, very expensive in terms of legendaries, pretty greedy. You got like Reska, Ceaseless, Climactic, you got Zilliax with Twin Module, Perfect Module, get the Primus, Marin, Horseman, Exarch, Maladar, and then yeah, we're trying to stay alive with our early game. Quartzite Crusher pretty good in the meta right now. A lot of weapons to freeze, in particular, like Demon Hunter, Rogue, Handbuff Paladin, and yeah, I might try this list out. I did one on my stream today, had some games, but maybe I'll try and get some off stream. Less grumpy Zeddy with the better list. If not, yeah, you'll see that video later today. And yeah, it's a pretty good Rainbow deck from what I could tell. Stats are pretty solid, and we'll try and give it a spin. And ETC has Fistful, Rat, and Mind Control tech in there. Although I feel like you might want to try Foam Render just to give some extra lethality. You can mess around with that. And yeah, Weapon Rogue seems to be the best rogue deck right now. There's also Shafar Rogue, but I have a lot more limited numbers on this, and this deck is super cheap. If you just want to bash people in the face, you go with your swarthy sword Shider, buff up a quick pick, and just, yeah, do incredible damage. It's really one-dimensional. You just want to kill your opponent. You have Deafen to try and get through taunts, and yeah, it's really about it. So if you want to go Weapon Rogue, and very budget friendly, as I think the only epic in here is Sword Shiner and no legendaries or anything. It's a very cheap deck if you're looking, yeah, more on that budget side. For Priest, the main good Priest deck, and it is very good, Zarimi Priest, where you just swarm the game with early, you know, swarm the early game with minions, try and get an early orbital halo to snowball can be really good. Play a bunch of dragons, play Time Winder Zarimi, and try and kill your opponent. We got Zilliax in here. I think we're still using Pylon TK Module. It still seems to be worth the cut. It's crazy. 5 nerfs. It's still like every deck. And yeah, Bob the Bartender also making an appearance in the most latest list. And yeah, I've got draw in there like Ethereal Oracle, of course. And our ETC has Deafen, Puppet Theater, and Ceaseless Expanse, which you can play this, then Zarimi too, if you can get to that stage of the game, which can be quite strong. Druid's best deck appears to be Spell Damage Druid. Lately it's focused on Alonius. So you have Alonius, you can cheat out your Woodland Wonders, and basically try and OTK your opponent with like File and Swipe. This version can't do like infinite damage from what I can tell. You also have Living Roots, but Chalice is now more, well, obviously can't go face, but really good board control tool. If you play Arena at all, you know how strong this card is at controlling the board, especially with all the spell damage tools, and it's trending pretty well. Not the most popular deck out there, but I've seen people get as high as like top 10 legend already with Spell Damage Druid. Attack Demon Hunter was really popular at Worlds, still very good on ladder, very aggressive, ton of early game minions. This list I have, I think it's a weird one in like Pocket Sand. I don't know if that's optimal, but the rest of the list is just, yeah, a couple cheap early minions, a lot of burn, go face, try and not face Death Knight who have the freeze weapon and freeze your face. That could be a struggle. And Zilliax has Haywire Module, Power Module, just to try and stick a stupid idiot to go face. That's the name of the game with this deck. Mage, the best deck out there, and I've seen this plenty at like top 1000 legend, and I've lost to it plenty. Elemental Mage, which, yeah, it's still really good at swarming the board early with like your Flame Revenant into Surger and 0 mana AoE Solar Flare. Of course, Aqua Archivist, one of the best cards out there. because you could cheat out, you know, Tainted Revenant on 3 or coin out a Sauron on 3 and maybe just scam the game. And yeah, it's still pretty darn good. It's an effective deck, but not the most exciting thing in the world if you don't love those tribal decks. And lastly, I'm not recommending a Warlock deck. You can play Painlock, it's okay. Again, if you really want to play like the armor Warlocks, you can. I just can't in good faith recommend them for climbing. But Reno Warrior is trending around a 50% win rate. It's got a new addition in Bob the Bartender to like freeze the board, steal a minion. That can be really solid. Our ETC has some new heights, a Boom Boss, and a Ceaseless, so when you get to the late game after Brand, you can take those 2 late game options. Ziliax, Twin Module, Perfect Module, but yeah, you want to try and somehow survive to play Deep Miner Bran. You got Reno Lone Ranger, we got some, I think there's Excavating here. If I saw, we got Badlands Brawler. Did we just play that for the Brawl? It looks like we just played, no, we do have the plating at least. There is some mix of things in here, but overall, yeah, Reno Warrior, not the best deck out there, but if you're looking for a list, this one seemed to be doing okay. And for Wild, I'm not going to recommend the Demon Seed because it's not good enough anymore, thank goodness, at least for now. But Paladin has kind of taken over, as well as, well, it's all toxic decks. It's wild. Anyway, starting off, we have Libra Paladin. It does play Librams, but it's all about spamming you like your light bots and your light rays and your giants and all that really early, because you can make everything so cheap with Star Slicer and Aldor Tenant, and then you can lock your opponent out with like a Cold Feet. Some people run Rebuke. There's all that stuff you can do, and it's like super aggressive, super scammy in the early game, and it is one of the better decks out there. Holy Wrath Paladin, like XL Holy Wrath, still doing pretty good. You just stall a lot. You can Polk out into Holy Wrath for 100 damage, which can discount some of that stuff to set up. Or you can just try and get lucky with like Overplanner and like, oh, I hit, you know I'm gonna get Ceaseless on that turn and just Holy Wrath, kill your opponent. That can work out all right. And, you know, maybe you got your opponent down to 25 health. You can just order, Order in the Court, and then just hit a Shirvala, right? So you have other options, and it is a pretty good deck. It's got healing, removal, stalling. It's doing pretty well. XL Shadow Priest, regular Shadow Priest, both of them doing well, but I'll highlight XL because a little more fun on the greedier end, and the stats do seem to be a little bit better. Even got cards like Narian Sooth Fancy in there, which haven't found their way in Standard yet, but seem to be at least viable in this weird abomination of an aggro deck. And yeah, go face, try and have cards to play. And again, Ethereal Oracle is the thing that really brings it together. Hostage Mage may arguably be the best deck in the format, which kind of pleases me. I don't know, I like Mage, but this deck is so toxic. Maybe I'll do a video on that because yes, Bob has made the most toxic deck in Wild even more toxic. That's probably gonna be the title if we make that video. Giving you another full board freeze or a minion steal. You can mill your opponent, and of course you can like Potion of Illusion, get more Bobs. But the idea of the deck, of course, is to stall with your ice blocks, your solid alibis, and then you get out of your ETC a Potion of Illusion if you're able to get Light Show as well, and then deal infinite damage with Grand Magister Romath, or just stall infinitely with ice blocks and use your Magister Dawngrass hero power to eventually kill your opponent. It's super grindy, it's super unfun to face, so of course I like kind of playing it, but yeah, it is at the point where it might be the best deck in Wild, and maybe it's time for Ice Block to go to twice or once per game. We'll see in due time. And lastly, I'll just recommend Big Shaman because yeah, still good. Cheat out giant stuff really early. Most decks can't deal with that, and you kill them. Just, you know, you could either gavel and hit a Muck Morpher, or you could Fairy Tail Force into Muck Morpher and then reincarnate and just get giant boards and stuff. It's really gross. It's effective, but yeah, pretty darn brain dead. So there you go. Decks to climb with in Standard and Wild. Probably our last video on this for the year. We're not expecting another balance patch or anything major until January when the mini set comes out, and who knows what else will happen. So yeah, hopefully these decks can carry you through the holiday season, and we'll start figuring out some content on the channel to have some year-end recaps, maybe gameplay videos. We'll figure it out. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.